Hi, it's Felicia and Jacob. I'm going to be making a video on how I make baby food for Jacob. So what you would need is some fruits, and I'm going to be using some mango, some pears, some bananas and some apples. You'll also need some honey to adjust the sweetness of the fruits. You will also need some knives and a chopping board, a couple of pots or saucepans, whatever you usually use to cook with, just an ordinary mixing bowl, a couple of bowls. You'll also need a blender. Doesn't matter if it's a small one or a handheld blender. You can also use electric beaters if you don't have one. Some spoons and strainers. You can use a couple of different sizes, or you can just use the same one for everything. It doesn't really matter. And obviously a stove to cook everything on, and some water out of the tap. And last of all, some containers to put your baby food in once you're done. Start by washing your fruit. So you can peel your apples, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm going to keep the skin on because there's a lot of nutrients in it. So start by just cutting all the sides off. You can cut it however you want, if you just want to cut it in thin pieces or just cut it in cubes. Just try to make sure they're all evenly cut. So I'm just going to cut mine in cubes like this. So try to make sure that they're all in evenly slices. So that's how I'm going to be cutting mine. Next, just put them all in the pot that you're going to be cooking it in. And then put some water in the pot as well, and make sure all the apples are covered quite well under the water. Turn on your stove and cook them for about 5 to 10 minutes, and make sure they're really soft, so you'll know that's when they're done. So don't just time it for 5 to 10 minutes and just take it off. Make sure you feel the apples if they're soft enough. And put the heat around medium heat to high heat. Just make sure you watch the stove to make sure your water doesn't overflow or anything like that. So after about 10 minutes or so, just keep checking it. Just pull one out and just check if they're soft yet. If they are, then turn off the stove. Next, do the same thing that you did with the apples. Cut them evenly. If you want to peel them, peel it as well, and just cut it as evenly as you can. You don't have to use the fruits that I'm using. You can use all different types of fruits. You can use blueberries, strawberries, all different types of fruits. It doesn't have to be the ones that I'm using. You can also use the other pear. It doesn't have to be the brown pear. You can also use the green pear. You can use all different types of apples. It's just whatever's usually in season. You can usually use those, which would be a lot better because they're usually a lot cheaper as well. So once your pears are cut, do the same thing. Put it in a pot, fill it up with water and cook it for about 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes it can take up to 15 minutes as well, depending on the heat of the stove. I think they're ready, so I'm just going to take it off the stove and I'm just going to put the pears on now. So after you've taken it off the stove, just strain it through a strainer. Make sure you strain it quite well to get all the water out, because you don't want your purees to be quite watery. And then after that, just put the water down the sink and then fill up the blender with the apples and then blend it. So once you're done blending it, just put it through a sift, just so you can make sure your puree is really smooth and there's no big lumpy bit. And when you're done putting the apple through the sift, it should be as thick as this as it comes through. And that's the smooth puree that you get from the apples. And that's the apple puree finished. Next, grab a pear and just check if it's soft enough. If it is, just turn it off and do the same thing that you did with the apples. Sift it, put it through the blender, and then put it through the sift again. That's your pear puree done, and just put it in another bowl. I'm going to cut some mango. So that's my cut mango. I'm just going to put it in a pot. And some bananas, just peel them. And just slice them. Also put it in a pot and just boil it for a couple of minutes just to blanch the bananas and the mango. Just pretty much until the water starts to boil, and then just turn them off. drain them off. And that's how your banana puree should turn out. And then once again, just put it through the sift. And just push the mango through. And it should come through the bottom. And that's your mango puree. So that's all 4 purees finished. And I'm just going to add a bit of honey to the pears. And a bit to the apples. And just mix that through. Just to sweeten up the purees. And then just fill up your containers with the baby food. You can also mix a couple of different ones and keep some of them separate, and just fill it up to the amount that your baby eats. And just mix it well through to. So these are my baby foods that I have made. You can keep them in the fridge for a couple of days, or you can keep them in the freezer for up to, I think, 3 to 6 months. And if you do freeze them, and when your child's ready to eat it, all you have to do is keep it in the fridge the night before, so it'll be ready by the morning, or you can always just defrost it in the microwave. Okay. Jacob. Jakey. Ah, good boy. He's such a good boy. Jakey's such a good boy. Thank you for watching our video. Bye!